Okay, it says I'm live. And if you're wondering where I'm at, I'm in my new studio. Uh, I finally got it up and going good enough to broadcast from here. I got the Wi-Fi and everything out here, so I can broadcast from my new studio. Hopefully, it'll look better each week. It's a work in progress right now. I mean, I'll give you a 30-second tour of it because there's some of my there's my mixing board that I've got for. Hey Zach, how are you? Yeah, that's my mixing board that I use. Of course, there's one of my microphones. I hadn't got all the computers set up. I got one up over there, and this was a shop trailer that as a mobile shop trailer, and you see all the cabinets. I got cabinets all the way around this, all the way around here, and we're trying to convert this into a mobile studio. Doing pretty good so far. I've got, like I said, I got the Wi-Fi out here now, so I have that, and hopefully, and I got the air conditioning in here too. I don't even need it this morning. It was nice in here, and I turned it on for a little bit, but I kind of got chilly, so I turned my air conditioning off because it's pretty noisy. So I don't want to have it too noisy, but I'm enjoying that. Well, what's up? What's happening with everybody? What do you think about the national scene now? We they right after we got off the air and everything, Joe decided to give his speech of resignment. Yeah, well, that's what we're talking about, Zach. Old Joe is finally admitted. Well, they made him admit that he wasn't capable of running anything this next year, and they were getting scared because Trump was trouncing them on the polls and everything else, and so they decided to bring out Kamala. Now she's got her little honeymoon thing right now, but maybe the honeymoon will be over quickly. It may happen for a few weeks while all her people are go, oh yeah, we got Kamala now, till they realize, oh yeah, we got Kamala now. I mean, she is very inept. Yeah. Well, Kamala Harris is a joke. she couldn't keep she couldn't keep staff because everybody hated her, and I think she went through. I think I read something like 50 or 60 different staff members that quit or fired or whatever. I mean, she just couldn't keep staff members at all, and she's got a terrible. She has a terrible reputation as a prosecutor and everything else. And you talking about liberal? She is ultra liberal. I mean, she's more liberal than Bernie Sanders, or as bad. Yeah, top of the morning to you too, Bull of the Woods. Uh, but yeah, Kamala is not going to be the answer for the Democratic Party. At least I hope she's not the Democratic. I mean, the answer for the nation. I mean, I hope everybody wises up and go, whoa, we need to step back a little bit. Yeah. Good morning, James. How are you? Yeah. Yeah. I need to, you know, for the latecomers, I explain I'm in my new studio, and then it may sound a little echoey right now. I'm gonna be putting up some, some soundproofing and everything, so it should not be quite as bad in the coming weeks. I'm gonna be putting soundproofing on the walls and things like that. So hopefully I'll get some of the I'll deaden the sound a little bit. Oh, I know it. She's got a terrible past, Walter. Terrible past. Kamala is a woman now, Zach. it's Kamala Harris. Yeah, she's a woman prosecutor. She matched all the points. She was a black. She is our black vice president or partial black. I mean, she's mixed race, and I think she's part Caribbean or whatever. But I think they even found out that her, all these peoples are they're wanting reparations and everything else, and her family even had slave owners back in the Bahamas or somewhere, Caribbean, somewhere they were part of her heritage is from, and she tries to claim uh, attachment to all races and everything. She's a Johnny come lately, and she wants to act like she's the best thing since sliced bread, and boy, she's not. Oh, yeah, you don't hear much from Ken. They've squelched him. I mean, the news media, they don't want anything to do with Kennedy because of the fact he'll take votes away from the Democrats. And I wish he was on the debate uh, end of it. I wish he could get out there and they can let him debate, but they don't want to. I mean, the Democrats don't want that, and I would love to see him debate. I'll be right in there with all three of them, and he's got enough polling that he's legitimate, but they have squelched him something terrible, and he's got a voice. I mean, he's more liberal than I like, but he's also got a little bit of conservative. He's a moderate, you might say. He's not. I mean, he's probably a true moderate, but with a liberal leaning a little bit. But he's not stupid. He's not stupid. He's sort of like the old Democrat, like his dad and his uncle were, and that's a huge difference between what Kamala is. But I'd like to see it get back to conservative viewpoints. And I mean, I'm a conservative. I'm an independent, but I'm a conservative. So that's the difference. Yep. Yeah, that's true. Hey, Jerome. Good morning to you too. Yeah, we're in here talking about Kamala and Joe and all of them. Just it is what it is. We're gonna have to deal with what they gave us, I guess. But I'm not. I'm not overly concerned, but I'm concerned enough that enough of these crazies have opened up and they said, "Oh yeah, we'll take Kamala." I'm thinking, geez, you'd better off with Joe than you were Kamala. But Joe was just a puppet. He was just a puppet, and she's going to be a puppet. The the industrial complex, the military industrial complex, and all of those ultra crazies. I mean, that have brought. I mean, all this Green New Deal and all these things about they're not even going to let you cook with a gas stove, and they're not going to let you. They're wanting. They're not the party of the people. They're the party that wants to control the people, and that's the thing about it. A lot of people don't realize how much control that the Democrats want uh, over your life. I mean, you ought to have got a flavor of that, a touch of it during COVID when they locked down everything. I mean, they were the lockdown party if there ever was anybody. I mean, that's the thing about it. Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. RFK is he's big against some of these pharmaceuticals, and that is a plus in his part. And he's legitimately sued some and won some cases against some. So he's a smart guy. Don't get me wrong. RFK Jr. is a smart guy, and we we could use. I'd love to see Trump, if he gets elected, put him in as a cabinet member. I mean, I think he would be an asset he could be an asset to Trump in certain ways, especially in some of the environmental things that he got knocked down, that he straightened out environmentally. I mean, that, I'm not 100% uh, everything that he does, but some of the things he did were pretty good. So you kind of have to take the good with the bad there. And I would like to see something. I mean, if Trump gets in, I'd like to see him bring in Tulsi Gabbard. I'd like to see him bring in Vivek. I'd like to see him bring in uh, RFK maybe. I mean, if he could get a group of those people together to work in government and work nice, for the people, I think we'd have a good situation. What is that, Chris? You're hearing there are a few wild plans that Trump has has to. Well, okay. What are you hearing, James, about FedEx? I mean, I know FedEx is uh, they're talking about spinning off FedEx Freight. I mean, what are you hearing? I'm not hearing anything uh, dramatic. Fill me in because I'd like to know. I mean, I've got sort of a vested interest with FedEx for the next 8 or 10 years. Well, I don't doubt that. But yeah, they've had the cameras. They've had the cameras. My drivers hated the cameras, and I had to get onto my cameras. My drivers would put a like their baseball cap over top of the camera, and we had to get them to stop doing that because FedEx wanted to monitor the driver. I mean, they do that, and yeah, we've had front facing cameras for years, and if they sell that information to insurance companies, I don't doubt it. I mean, any way they can make a buck, they'll do it. Well, and we're going to get into that, James. I mean, think about it. We got cameras all over. I mean, every major municipality has cameras everywhere. All these ring cameras that everybody has. I mean, how many videos have you seen of cars flying down through a neighborhood and hitting another car, stuff like that? And it's captured on a ring camera that an average individual has. I mean, we're to the point, and we were talking about this the other day. One of the worst things that we possibly, uh, one of the worst things, one of the best and the worst things that happened to us in the past few years is that is a smartphone. It's got a high definition camera that you got with you at all time. You've got communication. They're communicating back and forth to the tower. They know where you're at. I mean, how many times have you been pinged on the cell phone and they're trying to alert you about something because technology knows where you're at, and there is going to come a point in time, unless you want to be out in the woods in your own log cabin that you've built with no communication whatsoever, and you turn off everything, then that's the only way you're going to be secure and really off grid. And there is a movement. A lot of people want to be off grid, and I can't blame them. I mean, there's times that I get aggravated. I mean, I have Google that still calls me all the time. All these Google advertisers, and they say your business isn't listed. I said, great. I said, I don't need my business listed. They said, well, what about your? I said, I don't have customers. They want to make a point that I've got customers or all kind of stuff, and everything like that. But I don't. I mean, my businesses are self-sufficient. I don't need customers. I don't have to have customers. Don't want customers, to tell the truth. And everything I do is my own real estate. I mean, and I'm not selling real estate. I just buy and whatever everything I've got. If I want to rent something, it's rented. Uh, I mean, I've got buildings that are not rented, including this one that I've got that I'm using. I've got another one across the road, a big one, 60 by 160. I've been offered big money to rent that one, and have turned it down for right now. I may do that eventually. I may clean it up, remodel it, and rent it for a real good price one of these first days, and see what I can come up with. But as it stands right now, I don't need the money. Uh, I can always use it, and I ought to probably do that, but I just haven't. And I've got, I had a deal uh, on some of my other property that I had a major company wanted to come in and purchase some, and that kind of fell through. I didn't like. Well, I kept questioning what they wanted to do, and they finally dropped off and everything. Cost me a little money to get things straightened out and everything, but it educated me on how some of these major corporations do. Well, and people are going to go to something like that, James. I mean, if they've got the service and they don't get tracked, but sometimes these companies say these things, and then the next thing you know, they're tracking you some way or another. I mean, how are we to know? I mean, um, that's the reason they've made everything digital and got rid of all the analog, because the analog phones were limited and and what they could track you with. I mean, they couldn't do all the digital footprint that they wanted to with an analog phone. So, well, how long has it been? 15, 20 years now, about 15 probably, that they've gotten rid of all the analog phones. Now you can still get a flip phone, but it's a digital phone. Now the original flip phones were analog, most of them, and a lot of people with the old bag phones too. I used to have those, and they actually had more power than these digital phones we've got. You don't need as much. Uh, you don't need as much power to get to a cell phone tower with the new digital ones, because it doesn't require it. And plus the concentration of all the towers. I mean, towers are a lot closer together now than they used to be years ago. I mean, years ago, when I first got on the cell phone system back in the early 80s, uh, cell phone towers were a good piece away from each other. And that's why you needed a phone that could transmit, I think it was 5 or maybe 10 watts. And I mean, now these phones probably are less than a watt. I mean, they're a small amount, maybe a half a watt is all these phones are putting out. But the old bag phones, they used to put out like 10 watts. Uh, and they had to be able to transmit, because the towers were probably, oh, I would venture to say towers were probably 40 miles apart from each other, maybe 50, just depending on territory. And that's why you had spotty coverage and everything. Well, I don't understand all that cell phone real estate either, and a lot of them sell them off and lease them back, and they sell off the rights to it. So I guess it's all a money grab on who owns what. I mean, I used to know a guy. Well, before it was Verizon, it was Bell Atlantic in this area, and I was on with them. And I got invited down to a Hornets game. That's when the Charlotte Hornets had just started as a basketball team, because I was a good customer. I was an early adopter. I had several cell phones for my trucks, and Bell Atlantic liked the money I was paying them, so they invited me down to a Hornets game, and I met a couple of guys down there that actually owned rights to towers, and Bell Atlantic, later on Verizon, was leasing their tower space, and these guys retained their own towers and that area, and they were getting good franchise money out of it. So, I would imagine some of it's like that. That maybe in some of these areas that Verizon and AT and T and all of them, they probably realize that they don't have to actually own the real estate; that they could just lease it and everything else and maintain their equipment and do it that way. So I don't know. I mean that's more of an accounting thing, I think, than it is a technical thing. It's just I would imagine somebody somewhere decided, you don't need to be in every bit of real estate, so that's what they were doing. That's my opinion anyway. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's still spotty areas. I mean, you see, uh, I mean, even down here where I live, I mean, there's a couple of spots. I mean, like everybody else, you go down a hill in a valley a little bit on the road, and you'll lose signal, or maybe it's just in an odd area with mountains or whatever in between. Because you know a lot of this with the digital is line of sight. So if it gets out of sight uh, and something's blocking uh, the view of the tower, you will have a bad signal. But there's so much repetitive bouncing around with the signals that most parts you won't lose signal. I remember when signals were. I knew exactly where the signals dropped off when I had my old analog phones. So it was entirely different and everything. What's going on with everybody else out there? I've been trying to. I'm just kind of going along with the flow of the conversation, and we're on a less than 100 days now till we get the election over, and I'll be glad it's over. I hope it goes in the right way. I hope that we can go back to a more conservative way of living. I mean, I'm not a total love Trump guy. I love the policy of Trump. I love what the conservatives are doing. That's where I am. I mean, as far as the rhetoric and everything that Trump comes up with, he can be annoying to a lot of people, and people hate him. I don't hate him. I don't even dislike him. The man has he's put his life on the line. He's put his livelihood on the line. He would have been a lot richer man had he never ventured into this presidential situation. And people, because of his situation, just hate him. They hate him for being him, and that I do not understand. But you know, you got jealous people out there, you got vindictive people out there, and years ago, I know a lot of y'all have seen it. Oprah thought that she could coerce him into running as president, but he was a registered Democrat then. Oh, she was all for him. All these celebrities, they fawned all over him. It was Donald this and Donald that. They had him on all the TV shows. Of course, he had his An Apprentice show and all that sort of stuff. And everybody loved Donald Trump then. But as soon as he walked down the steps or down the escalator and he declared as a Republican, it was like, oh no, we hate you. We hate you. You're a Republican now. Oh no. It doesn't work that way. I mean, people are crazy. The never Trumpers are crazy. And I just don't understand it. But he has fought. Trump personally, I think, is more moderate than a lot of people would give him. Uh, you know, he's done some great things. He took, what was it, that one park that the city of New York couldn't finish. They were struggling and cost overruns and everything, and Trump coerced them into saying, "I'll finish it for you," and he did it under budget, everything, and got it done in months as opposed to years what they were working at. So it's crazy. It is crazy. Yeah, it was an ice skating rink. That's what it was. Yeah, and people love the results. They love the results. They love what he did. But oh, I know. Yeah, well, that's the problem we have. We got too many bean counters, and we got bean counters just doing crazy things. I mean, they're checking out things that they shouldn't have to. Uh, well, guys, I'm gonna give some of the latecomers. This is a view of my studio. I call it my studio. This is where I'm doing my radio broadcast. I'm gonna start doing my video broadcast from, as opposed to the shop in there where me and Jim, well, mainly Jim, not me, where Jim works in there. From time to time, I may go in there, but I'm going to be soundproofing this. I'm going to try to make it a lot nicer. I got some of these cabinets I'm working on here. Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, the rich hate him. He knows all the angles, and they hate him for that. They hate him for the fact that. Let me turn this around a little bit so I don't. I'm getting a lot of shadowing off those fluorescent lights overhead. But yeah, that's the thing about it. I mean, he has too many inside secrets. He really does. Jim's doing good. Jim's doing good, Jamie. He came back to work. Was this his first week back? I believe it is. Um, but I've had him busy. Probably feels like 2 weeks for him already. We've been real busy. He's gotten out and helped me mow, and we've worked on this trailer, and we worked on uh, wiring, and just we've done a plethora of things out there that Jim's been a big help getting back. But he's had a month off, so he's had a little time to do some other things. Of course, he was just sitting around with that after he had that hernia operation, and I guess I can tell what it was. I mean, I don't want to divulge all of his medical history, but I mean, he had a hernia, and as we get older, that sometimes happens, and he had to be careful, not picking up stuff. And then he had to go back to his heart doctor too. Me and him both have we keep the doctors busy down here at our age, and Jim and I are Jim's 2 months older than me, so we're both down here at the same age, and it, we talk and laugh about it takes two of us to get what one guy used to be able to get done. I mean, it takes two of us now because we wear out and we get tired. We have to take some breaks. And me and Jim both have been sweating up a storm with this trailer, and all we had to clean this out. This used to be a parts trailer, or not parts. It was a mobile shop's what it was. That's why we got all the cabinets, and those are going to come in handy for me with my little studio here. So it's working out good. And I broadcast for the first time Friday night from in here, so that worked out good. I didn't have everything where I wanted in place, but it worked out pretty good. And I'm gonna be doing that. And I'll and y'all have to check it out every once in a while. Now I'm not on a permanent basis. I'm the part time guy, but I'm gonna type it in here. It's Juke and Oldies. I mean, you can go to that jukeandoldies.com, and you can look at it online, and you can go down there and you go down to the bullpen. Of course, you'll see my name listed as one of the DJs. You can click on that too. Uh, but that's why I'm doing on air work, and you really can't schedule to see me like you can some of the guys, because I'm not scheduled. I'm the substitute. I mean, they may call me, or guys ask me, "Can you do this show?" And it's 6 in the morning, and I go either yes or no, or 9 in the morning, or like the one I did Friday was 8 in the afternoon. But I'm on there playing oldies, and if you like music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 50s, I got about 4 decades, and even some new stuff that match up to the beach music stuff. I mean, we're a lot of beach music, rhythm and blues, stuff like that. It's different. So if you want to listen to that, and you can download the app, you can go to your app store, Play Store, or the App Store, and you can download an app that's jukinoldies.com, and you can actually stream online. So if you do that, and then occasionally I may get online uh, and broadcast the fact that I'm going to be online. So if you catch me out there on YouTube, and I may just drop in a few minutes and say, check me out on jukinoldies.com later tonight or whatever, or later today. Uh, it, right now I'm scheduled in about a week. I can't remember which day. It's about a week and a half or something away from my next scheduled broadcast. And this suits me fine because I can play around with my old music like I used to love. And my new attachment, it's great. It's great. Yeah, I got the new attachment from a skid steer uh, that's a mulcher and everything, and I got it. It does low flow. It does standard flow instead of the high flow, and it's still expensive. It was an expensive piece. It was right at 20,000. But when it does the job with the equipment I got, that's still pretty good. So, it is what it is on that. But I'm enjoying that. I haven't got to use that as much since I've gotten it, but the fact that I've got it when I need it is great now, because that's what I got into with the other one when I rented, and I couldn't make myself work on it every day, even though I needed to. And now I've got this one that's mine, so I can use it when I want to, as opposed to saying I've got to do it because I'm renting it. Well, guys, I'm about to lose my voice again. My voice is kind of scratchy today. I'm going to get off. I've enjoyed chatting with everybody a little bit this morning. I'll be around. You may see me on here more. If I may pop in here now that I've got the studio, I may pop in here more often and do some lives. So watch for me. And of course, always catch me on Sunday morning. Thank you, James. See you guys.